Good.
We can leave it to Heather to determine how long is too long to look at Beej.
And if you think you're going too fast, I could time dial it back.
Ooh.
I'll sound like someone's drunk uncle.
Smash Brothers is 21 years old this year.
Apparently, that's the trick is to
One for every Fire Emblem
Just
character.
take this down to 0.075 if you want to know what it'd be like to have Thanksgiving with us in about 30 years.
Have you seen the?
Check, go ahead and stop the
Sure.
local.
Yeah. Have you seen the Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Oh yeah.
As like stoned Neil deGrasse Tyson, because it's just clips of like when he says abstract stuff on Cosmos slowed down. My favorite was just the like, can you see me? Can you hear me? How? It's just like, well, sure. When you do it like that, it sounds,
It's apparently the the Jonathan Frakes question collections.
Oh yeah.
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 Do it with.
Ever
those.
notice how many themed restaurants there are?
Yeah. Ever notice how many themed restaurants there are?
Did you notice how realtors are becoming celebrities nowadays? Did you ever love to go wandering neath the clear blue sky? Jonathan, please get out of my house.
I didn't realize the whole reason.
You ever gone mountain biking?
That he had back problems. Yeah, that he had back problems, and that is why whenever he sits in a chair.
That's why he does the Riker?
Yeah, because he realized that doing kind of the thing where people just kind of crash down into a chair where they just kind of oomph and they sit down, he was like, that's hurting his back. So he thought the easier thing to do would be to step over a chair so that he could kind of spread his legs quite wide and then do a straight squat into it.
Hello.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Though it doesn't explain why there's
Hi.
another shot of him like sitting in one of those chairs in the Enterprise, standing up and then lifting his leg over the back of it to leave, and I'm like, who would do that?
It's the only way he knows how to interact with chairs.
It's very unusual.
Yeah.
Also, he's like 6'3", isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's a massive man, except that I've seen him like at cons and he doesn't look like he's that tall anymore. But that's weird because I'm like, you don't lose height that fast as you get older.
You might be acclimatized.
Maybe
like,
that's it.
I'm 6'3", right? Like it's
yeah.
not. It's the this happened with. I mean, hanging out with Bill for so many years, it was just like tall people aren't tall.
Yeah.
Because it was the weird thing was when I met someone else who was someone different who was the same height as Bill.
Right.
And I was like, good grief, this man is enormous. Just because I was acclimatized.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So video game news.
Video game news.
You can't jump or swing your axe in Fortnite anymore, or they'll ban you. That's not true. So Epic is putting systems into the game to prevent people from signaling to one another.
I'm not even sure whether it's actually like systems being put in the game or whether it's more of like just a TOS thing.
Sorry, there are rules in the game rather.
Are they flirting? Is that what's happening?
Well, no, it's because people apparently like there's a thing where you can people will like the when the circle comes down for what is going to kill everybody.
The storm, yeah.
When the storm comes down, people will do things where they like make sort of a temporary ceasefire while they're both booking it to the new place.
Let's not fight each other while this
and
thing
they
is killing
indicate
us.
that they're going to do that in various ways. Sometimes, apparently, like swinging at the pickaxe
at nothing
has become sort of an indication that that's
like
what you're going to
switch
do.
back to your pickaxe and just start. It's basically it. I don't actually know what the issue is because it seems like a sort of like a sporting gentle person's agreement with like, if we engage with one another right now, whoever wins the engagement is going to be effed for the rest of the game because we'll use resources in this fight and the storm is closing in. So let's just both agree to find our better position after the storm and then we can deal with it there.
Right.
And apparently in competitive Fortnite, that is not allowed.
It is BM,
Well,
is it?
I feel like this is one of those things that, the rule was put into place, or they're putting the rule into place because they're seeing some egregious issues with people actually like teaming, like people actually like, acting in a way like actually helping each other out in ways that they're not supposed to. But this is sort of another thing that gets kind of caught under the umbrella of the same move. Which these sort of like temporary alliances.
That's the concern, but because so here's the thing. So it says throughout last year, players have been sending and receiving signals more commonly during Fortnite competitions to the point where many players are confused about the ruling. For 2020, we were taking actions against any kind of in-game communication between opponents via signaling in official tournament matches. So that's first thing, it's only in official tournament matches.
Right.
This includes, but is not limited to, pickaxe, swinging, emoting, toy tossing, and jumping. And so people are like, they're going to ban you if you jump. And it's like, no, they're not. That's not what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the sort of, obviously, it's a very ambiguous thing. It's there's a lot of nuance, I guess. There a lot of context.
Yeah, and it has to be.
Yeah, and it has to be. But it's like so that, I think that's the concern is that people are concerned that because it isn't like a very clear rule that it could be abused or whatever.
It just seems weird to me because I'm like, if it was real war, and I signaled the thing being like, let's not shoot each other for 10 minutes because there's something coming. There's an electrical storm or some
airstrike.
Right?
I don't know.
There's something coming. Let's just get it. Then maybe the person across me is like, yes, or they might be like, no, and just shoot me anyway, right? Like,
it's a weird aspect of like that's the case. It's the case that there's rules against sort of teaming or whatever in all the sort of battle royale type things.
Yeah,
which is it is slightly odd, as you say. Like shifting alliances is you would think kind of part of the thing, right?
Yeah.
But I think just from a gameplay perspective, it is, especially it doesn't work out that well.
Yeah. So Penthesilea makes a reference to like the pornography standard of they'll know it when they see it. And the thing is, it's like that gets guff obviously, but speaking as people who are responsible for moderating a much smaller community of very well behaved people comparative to the Fortnite community, you have to have ambiguous rules. You have to be able to make judgment calls like that. And I'll tell you, the only people that we have ever had be like, well, when you say this, what exactly do you mean? Can you be very specific? Can you give me a particular list of rules? Those are the people who are asking so they can be like, great. So what I'm doing doesn't actually contravene the rules that you've given me, so you can't ban me. And it's like, yes, that's why we don't do that. That's why we aren't specific like that.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is when you're talking about like a competitive, theoretically like sporting thing.
Yeah.
People are trying to get an edge out wherever they can.
Yeah.
And so, where that line is between, if is there going to be a thing being like, why didn't you shoot this guy at this time when you probably could have?
Yeah.
And then you have to sort of defend why you didn't shoot. It's like, I didn't want to at that time. Like I
didn't want to engage because
you can get into awkward situations.
Yeah, I mean, it seems fairly straightforward. It's like the difference between I didn't want to start an engagement and like even if two people look at one another and then just walk away from each other,
that's the samurai standard.
That could also just be like they both independently agreed to not, or both independently decided to not get engaged in a fight at that point. It's what they're talking about is like actually communicating. So if they like, jump up and down and wave or whatever and then leave, then it's like, nah.
Yeah. It's
so
like
anyway,
signaling my intention to not engage.
I realized that I actually jumped past the stories
that we actually did
in the
Yes.
show.
Oh.
So I guess we should talk about that.
Sure.
Beej, you're the story entitled "As Is My Right," where you do the Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Talk about this Wiimote lawsuit.
in 2013, there was a patent lawsuit that
There were
that
like,
was when the
there were-
judgment was.
There were like multiple patent lawsuits
Oh, yeah.
against the Wiimote.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, iLife Technologies, who had brought this one, filed 5 or 6, and all but one of them were thrown out. And the particular patent they were infringing was very vague, but it had to do with signaling, transmitting, and receiving information using accelerometers, essentially, like basically based on like waving stuff around in space or whatever. And so they got ruled against them. That it's like, no, you owe iLife Technologies, this company that has never made anything in its life but sure owns the patent, you owe them $10 million. And Nintendo continued their appeal, and a district judge in the United States vacated that because they're like, you know what? Yeah, that patent was not specific enough to apply to some sort of device, because no device was ever shown that would actually use this thing except for the Wiimote.
Yeah, because I mean, there were quite a few different sort of motion. The idea of a motion controller existed, of course, long before the Wiimote.
Yeah.
But nobody could really get it going until the Wiimote did it.
Yeah.
And so everyone was like, I had that. I had that idea.
Yeah.
I was going to do that. I just didn't.
And on the backs of the, iLife doesn't exist anymore. The guy who ran it, essentially, I believe, closed the company. He's now the CEO of a completely different company. Ars Technica did a great breakdown. You can go read that if you want to. Other things that have happened, we all know about what happened with Smash turned 21. That's just an excuse for me to say there's even more Fire Emblem characters. We know Byleth has now shown up, and he or she, or I think they put both you can switch between male and female.
You can choose your true Byleth.
I saw,
My true Byleth is the female one,
Yeah.
so yeah.
I saw a fair amount of people being like, oh, good, another guy with the sword.
Yeah, another swordie apparently is the thing, and it's like, and then
Which I can kind of sympathize with
the gag is most people are like, oh, you wanted Dante, who notably uses a giant ass sword.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but it's just
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I was absorbing all the Smash Brothers salt that day. I was I was reading about the reactions. I liked that yours was like, oh great, another guy with a sword. And you're like, what do you mean, guy with a sword? Violet isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, you can choose.
Yeah, exactly. It was like Violet's a lady,
Yeah.
But it's weird, and just an excuse to get that salt out there. And then also, Three Houses had a bunch of. They have a fourth house. Three Houses has a fourth house, which is a complete lie. Then it should be four houses.
But they literally came up from the sewer.
the abyss or something.
It's a fallen fourth house, and they live in the sewers below the city because this fourth house fell before the crux of the game or something like that. So now there are a bunch of 15-year-old kids who live in the sewer.
I gotta say, if you live in the sewer, I would not make your house color white.
No,
That seems like a poor choice on their part.
I think it's kind of silvery gray, but maybe it was white once. I'm not sure.
I don't know. The one picture I had was like them all wearing like sparkling white outfits, and it's like, really, these are the sewer people?
Yeah, and it's not like they have polyester, so it's not like it's going to easily.
It's a
easily
nice
clean.
sewer.
And what was the last thing? Oh, right, Tokyo Mirage Sessions is out on Switch, which has made everybody in the world happy. And
I know that Kathleen and Heather both immediately bought it.
And so I just took the things that frustrate me about it, which is basically, oh, good, more shit on my Nintendo that is like, you can print this stuff out or get a calendar. And I'm like, why don't you do more of what you used to do with Club Nintendo, which is make a cool game or give us something we actually goddamn want. So that's just me.
The Xbox Series X secret internet breaking backshots are only really notable. They're not really notable actually, but the as Beej pointed it, because Beej wrote the today. The Xbox One. The Xbox One. Was it the One or the One S or both?
The one, the
original
one,
Okay.
has an HDMI in. Port.
Yeah, it has an HDMI out, obviously, and then also an HDMI in, which was curious.
Well,
that's
Microsoft was going big into like, you can plug it into your TV, and then the Xbox will control your TV, and like it'll be like the multimedia center of your thing.
Okay.
And then they kind of didn't pull out as well.
Yeah, so this only has the HDMI out. So
Also, no USB-C, just USB-A.
Weird.
Yeah, that is odd, right?
The stuff I've read about, I saw a thing people ask. It's like, that's weird. It's like, oh, they'll probably switch it to USB-Cs by the time it comes out. And it's like, I mean, they're controllers, like, or whatever. Like, it's not, or the kinds of things that they want to plug in via. It might as well just be USB-A. Like, there's nothing really interesting they need to do.
I would have just assumed. I mean, well, because they're all going with like wireless controllers now anyway. So
Right.
people, I guess, don't really think that much about needing to plug it in. But
Three-dimensional boat wives are coming to PS4 and Steam.
that was literally just so we could make you feel weird about fucking a boat.
I was saying to Beach, what I enjoyed about this story is I think it was on Kotaku or something, and the comments of it, the comments of the story were people wondering how this compared to various other video games in which you play a group of anthropomorphized boats.
Yeah.
It turns out that is actually a surprisingly deep genre with a lot of competition.
I realized.
And depending on what kind, it's like, do you want like a more of a tactical kind of game, or do you want more of a more of like an action game?
Frigates or
Frigate. As I was reading
the accuracy.
As I was reading the story, I recognized that, of course, it's developed and published respectively by our old friends Compile Heart and Idea Factory, who have made the Neptunia games.
Of course.
Yeah. So I was like, they have a pedigree here.
Apparently, there's a certain range of the Venn diagram crossover of people who are super into World War II ships. And also anime waifus, but they care about the accuracy of the whole. Like, apparently, the whole thing is like weirdly accurate in terms of like the depictions of the ships.
Yeah.
In like way more so than you would expect that they would bother with.
But I mean, it appeals to the kind of people who are very into big titty anime waifu and also detailed depictions of these, which is very much all those otaku things do.
It's
kind
a big
of overlap.
Venn diagram, yeah. Nigouki says that the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force has a collaboration with, is it pronounced Kankol?
Yeah, Kankol.
Where they use the waifus as mascots for modern reincarnations of the ships.
And it's weird because you say that as if that's just information. That's not even surprising to me. Like, that makes perfect sense.
Of course. I mean, when you get to the point where Pokemon are prefectural mascots, then it's like, okay, well, not prefectural, but like regional mascots.
Yeah.
Although maybe, I can't remember. Anyway. And then the big old Destiny thing was a big. I described it as a big wet fart, or sorry, a real damp fart.
Man, Bungie has so much. They've got so much creativity in terms of setting up these puzzles and stuff. If they would just spend more time on what the actual result of the puzzle. So basically, the big thing with it, like you got the thing like 2 weeks early. Is basically all that happened with this. Right?
Yeah.
You got this cool gun 2 weeks early.
Yeah, and they're like, well, if we didn't put it on the roadmap, then the roadmap would look empty. And it's like, this is a you problem.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, give us the, like, something new, different. It's just like it sticking the landing is not. They set up so much, but they have a real difficult time sticking the landing. And the FOMO thing is this manufactured FOMO is becoming more and more of a problem. And it's, I mean, I was talking about it yesterday.
Time events and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't in the story because this is way more editorializing than I like to do, but like. The game director for Destiny, Luke Smith, has a WoW rank called Scarab Lord, which was like you could only get once for this special thing that you like had to be very, very good at the game and log on at this specific time. And he's very proud of the fact that he got this.
Right.
And it's not a popular thing.
People are upset. It is an infamous thing that this exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you can see that kind of thing in moments like this where it's like oh someone did the thing, great, we're taking it away, nobody else gets to experience that.
Right.
And it's like, why though? Why? Like
what's the overall harm?
There was a breakdown on the subreddit that I thought was very straightforward, which is like there's two kinds of you had to be there, which we talked about with the Pokemon Go and PT comparison in the outro, which is like oh man, when this new and cool thing happened, it was really sweet.
It's a sort of a unique experience.
Yeah, like you had to be there. You can still do the missions, but man, like what an experience it was to be there when it happened, you know, as opposed to and that's always a positive. And the other thing is always a negative.
Right.
Because the best case scenario for you had to be there, it's gone now, is that it was bad content. Right? It's like, well, you can't do it anymore, but you're not missing anything.
I mean, I guess like the desired outcome of that is that people, you know, that people are like, we got to get in there now.
That's the intent, but it's actually just putting people off.
And so people, you know, to get your numbers up over a short term or whatever. But I I remember Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah.
Which is primarily, you know, which is like single player primarily, had these special events after launch where they were like huge big monster huge big bad guy is like appearing randomly in the desert, go fight him, and he's there for like a week. But he's like end game thing, like more powerful, like most you have to be at the end, you have to be super leveled to actually fight the thing. And so, you know, the first one came out, I wasn't at the point where I could fight it. The second one came out, and I went and fought it. It was kind of cool. But then they kind of realized that they had like 3 or 4 of them that they were going to release, and then they did that, and then they're like, except this is like a single player game, and not everybody bought it at launch. What? That guy came back. It's like the first guy, he's back now for another week. Like they just kept like bringing them back and like rotating them around and stuff. So they kind of ended up just being like, whatever. They're probably going to be there if you want to fight them.
Yeah.
But because it's like, why are we like you're trying to sort of increase excitement, but yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a real couple weeks in the Destiny community. The when Glad, the streamer, got the thing, he turned his camera off.
Wow.
He kept talking.
Kept the audio on, just being just like
the
long stream of swears.
No, like he kept like he read the gun and explained what it did, but he was clearly just like looked like not happy. He was not happy. And as Foxmar points out, in the lore of the quest, they make it sound like it's going to be a sword.
And isn't there like a big sword like statue?
There's a so it's you find like it's
prominently placed
on your what you find at the end of this maze in the corridors of time is your grave.
Oops.
Right? And it's like, who knows when that happens? Right. But it's your guardian's final resting place.
Right.
And Sate 14 over the radio gives this like wonderful eulogy and talks about how this sword that is embedded in the top of the coffin is like one of your favorite weapons. Right?
So here's this gun.
So here's this fusion rifle. It's very dissonant. Yeah.
Maybe you.
So there's no actual like date on the
no.
on the grave.
Yeah.
Wait, that's tomorrow.
Lord Manny Ebenezer Scrooge.
It just seems like,
that's like Back to the Future 3, where he's like,
oh yeah,
don't worry.
Look into photo. Yeah.
Well, it's like, don't worry about me. You know, leave me in the. Or Doc Brown is like, leave me in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marty goes and looks at his grave and sees that he died like a week after he sent that letter, and he's like, "Oh,
Basically,
he didn't have like a full happy life."
With all this lead up, people were expecting it would be the return of a beloved exotic weapon from Destiny 1, likely the Gallarhorn or the Vex Mythoclast, which were like a big deal from D1. If it was not that, but instead was this Bastion gun, it would be like, darn, I was really hoping for something, more like, more sort of like nostalgic, but hey, new exotic, cool. The fact that it was like new exotic that we knew was coming in 2 weeks is sort of like,
and anybody else could just get.
Yeah, now you can just go get it. So yeah, Rosebud was his sword.
All right, other stuff.
Yeah, Half-Life Alyx, you can play it sitting down.
Yeah, so they
I don't want to stand up to play. The game
Valve,
is as long as Half-Life 2.
Oh, that's
they've
a long,
said.
Okay.
Valve did a big AMA on Reddit and revealed a bunch of interesting stuff. For one thing, they pinky promise that it won't be delayed.
Yeah. They're like, it's basically done.
Yeah,
we've had people play the whole game.
They say, the quote unquote Valve time happened before they announced it.
Smart.
Which is good. There's been a couple. There's like the stuff with
Gestures at history of Valve.
Well, I was thinking more that there's been a couple of like high profile like game delays in the recent past. And so like Cyberpunk and things. So it's I appreciate that they were being that they were very conservative about that.
Be a little more circumspect about the release of a game. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
It's about the same size as Half-Life 2. Yeah, which is.
And
it feels like one of the more ambitious games that has been out on VR.
Apparently, it's the biggest game or the biggest dev team that Valve has ever had on a single game, and it may surprise you to hear that is a team of 80. Because Valve is like not a AAA developer.
Remember, as we've talked about before, I would imagine even amassing a team of 80 at Valve, you have to be like, come on, everybody, let's do this. We have cupcakes here.
Yeah.
Like you just getting them because the whole thing with Valve, of course, your part of your team can just wander off if they want to do something more interesting.
Yeah, but they're working now on finalizing it's called the comfort. The comfort features, what was it? The something and comfort. I can't remember. I can't remember the term they use for it. But you can play it sitting down, which I think is important for a game of that length.
They've got some accessibility stuff too, where it cannot be played like with one hand or with your left hand, so they're making sure that it's going to be. Although theoretically, apparently it's designed to be two-handed.
Yeah, locomotion and comfort. That's what it is, and accessibility as well. Yeah, you can do left hand, right hand.
Apparently, head crabs are friggin' terrifying to the extent that several people who have been working on the game and doing playtests, again, saying that you actually like take off the VR goggles when you're in a head crab area.
He said he moved the goggles off so that he could watch on the monitor, on the preview monitor, so he didn't have to actually interact with it.
You can imagine the head crabs just like coming at your head.
And you can put a bucket on them.
Yeah, you can put a bucket and it runs around.
Yeah, which
sounds amazing.
The article said, on a cheerier note, you can put a bucket on a head crab, and then the head crab will scuttle around and drag the bucket on it. This is not a bug, despite testers reporting it as such.
This is literally why I stopped playing Duke Nukem 3D, though.
Because you couldn't put head crabs in buckets?
Because they had the little face hugger things that came up to you, and I was like, no, we're done. I'm done playing this now.
Although apparently there's, one of the very famous enemies in Half-Life are the
barnacles.
The barnacle things that have like a long tongue that goes down, and you get stuck by them and they pull you up.
Great.
Which apparently did not work very well in VR, in the sense that it just totally freaked people out. So they took those, or they're not doing those in the same way. I don't know if they're out completely or whether they're just not doing them in the same way, but. Which I can see that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
I
mean, some people like a good scare. We have a whole show dedicated to that.
Also, you don't have arms. Alyx doesn't have or not visible arms.
Okay.
Because of video games.
Yeah, because apparently the thing they found that when you had arms, people didn't notice, like, whether she has arms or not, really. Like, they didn't care. Except when she had arms, the arms kept, like, blocking your view from things.
Right.
Oh, because you'd have your arms like it would look like they're up. Even
which
though
is always a problem. I find my arms block the view of things.
Yeah, I tend to move mine out of the way.
You should try that.
Also, Alex is voiced for the
Yes,
for the
yes.
game.
They're like, it turns out to be really hard to write a silent protagonist.
Yeah, a couple fun things about this. They talked about how they're one of the people in the AMA talked about how they hope that Valve moves more in that direction of having voiced protagonists. And two, it was confirmed in this same AMA that as far as the developers were concerned, they from their perspective, Shell, the protagonist of the Portal games, absolutely can talk, just chose not to out of principle.
Ah, yes.
No, that's Freeman. Freeman could talk and chose not to.
No, they said Shell did.
Shell was actually mute, I think.
No, fun fact, the developers of the Portal games assumed Shell could talk, but chose to remain deliberately mute out of principle.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I guess.
Just out of being mad at GLaDOS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not engaging with you.
That's definitely like one of the best. I mean, it's right at the beginning, but in Portal 2, there's the gag where when you wake up and Wheatley is like, okay, now it's possible that you may have suffered mild or a lot of brain damage.
Right. Mild to
yes.
severe brain damage.
Could you just say your name? And then you push the say your name button,
And
which
jump.
is the jump button. And he's like, okay, that was good. That was good. We'll work on that.
That's good. I like that.
That's jumping what you did there, yeah.
Okay, other stuff.
Right, that was it. A mild case of serious brain damage.
Right.
Is the line, yes.
What else happened?
There is a
Lego ideas.
yeah. So Lego has this program where you can like suggest concepts for a Lego set, which I believe like the original like Minecraft Lego set was came out of this.
Yeah, and that spawned a whole license.
Yeah. And so people, somebody has made a Untitled Goose Game Lego set of the little farm area.
The garden, yeah.
And apparently, while it hasn't been like, it's not like locked in. Apparently, Lego themselves has like put it on their recommended page and like retweeted it and stuff. So we may be getting Goose Shenanigans Lego.
What's the count?
4,439
So
supporters.
it's been about 12 hours since it was 3,400. So, yeah. So it's kind of ticking up there. I have opinions on this.
Oh, yes?
Because while I think it is very cute, and while I think it'd be very easy to make because it's quite understated.
It's quite small, yeah.
It has a lot of like unique elements. It's not a lot of it's not brick on brick. There's a lot of because it says it includes
but it's
jam
all
and
existing.
hat and
It's existing props though.
Yeah,
like it's all stuff that Lego
already
Except for the
makes.
already
goose
makes.
itself.
Yeah,
Oh, really? Is the goose new?
I'm not sure. Well, the goose sign is something they'd have to print a sticker for the sign, but I mean, making a custom goose thing. But what I thought was, I'm like, they missed a trick. What you do instead is you make maybe it's the legendary series of Untitled Goose Game, whatever. You make the miniature town. Because if you have not played, this is spoilers, by the way.
Right.
But if at the end of the game, you come across a miniature version of the town that you already walked through, and I'm like, why not make that in Lego?
Like the Lego architecture sets that are very, very, very small and sort of abstract.
But then with a giant goose.
and then a goose.
Yeah.
Like you build a Lego goose that has the miniature town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be super cool. But that would also be like probably 7,000 pieces and probably cost like a few $100s. So maybe you don't do that, but maybe somebody out there who has all this Lego now does that, which would be rad.
This looks great.
And as somebody, non-unique guy mentioned, I saw a lot of stuff about the Lego ISS set that just came out. It's apparently super awesome.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah,
Probably stays together better in zero gravity, I'm sure, but
It's true. It's true.
they're saying how it
Lego would probably be actually like super bad and dangerous to have on like a spaceship, just like little bits and pieces floating around.
Yeah. I mean, you'd never step on it, but you might bump into it.
But you would bump into it, and it could like get into places where it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure being hit with a Lego brick at escape velocity is probably real bad.
That is big. It's only $70.
You know the scene. You know that
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
You know that thing of from what's the movie where like the thing explodes and then all the like shrapnel goes like around the planet the other way and then hits them when it comes back around.
Is that Gravity?
Maybe.
But
yeah, you don't want that to happen to your Lego.
No, exactly.
You think step-on Lego is bad. How about like Lego that's on fire because it's moving so fast?
You definitely couldn't use it in those inflatable habitats that they've been talking about putting on the ISS.
Hey, look at that.
It's super rad.
It's really nice. I can't believe it's only $70.
If that's the size of it versus what the size of a space shuttle is, I had no idea the ISS was that large.
It's big.
It's a big boy.
I'm imagining
Or
them
lady.
like in one of those like inflatable habitats, and somebody like pulls out like from their they're like
What you get to bring from home.
What
yeah.
you get to bring your personal allocation. They bring out like a Lego like pirate set,
Yeah.
and they've got like one of those little cannons that shoots the thing, and somebody's like, "No, you fool!" It fires it. Boop. Boing.
Someone, Pal Friend Patine says that they've been doing a really good job at making the internal structures very sturdy so the set stays together. So I recently, because we did that stream where I rebuilt the Cosmic Fleet Voyager, or built for the first time. Since then, I've also built the Black Knight's Fortress, which is from the Lego Castle series from the.
That's like the super old school
80s.
one.
It's one of the old ones. It's like a 4 walls, two towers of a castle, and then like a sort of a tower with a black roof, and there's a drawbridge, and 2 of the walls like hinge open, so you can play with the whole thing open like that. It's really cool, and it is really apparent that the actual engineering of Lego sets has vastly improved from that era. You know, there's things where it's like they basically always avoid now when a thing on top of a thing like lines up, like they have it overlap for greater structural stability.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, things that's like this could be better constructed, but I'm following the instructions.
It has shear points instead of being like
exactly, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they've gotten really good at this.
They probably have like computer. I mean, obviously they have computer models, but they probably have like actual like stress test like computer load models and stuff. I mean, there's actually a thing with I know there's a whole thing I saw about like basically sort of Lego versus Mega Bloks or the sort of Lego competitors. One of the big things with Lego is the tolerances on their bricks.
Yeah.
Throughout their history is like insanely tight.
Yeah.
To make it so that like the bricks actually like fit into it, because they're just friction fit, right? There's no actual like clips or anything. And so if they're off by,
a hair, they just won't
tiny
hang.
millimeter. And so the problem, apparently, like Mega Bloks has a big problem with just stuff just kind of falling apart because it's not, in that tight tolerance.
Yeah. What else happened?
And in extremely heartwarming news, there's this great story about with the Xbox adaptive controller, which is something that I have ever since I came out a couple years ago. Super awesome. Full respect to Microsoft for putting that out there. And somebody has taken the adaptive controller and modded it to control a Switch, and so that his daughter can play Breath of the Wild.
That's awesome. And I mean, that was the idea, right? They're like, we want to put this thing up. We want it to be a general purpose controller.
Yeah. Like at the moment, anyway. It obviously it's set up for Xbox and PC and stuff.
Yeah.
So there is, this was a fairly complex operation to mod to add a adapter thing, so it'll send signals to the Switch. Apparently, Microsoft is trying to work with Sony and Nintendo to make it actually supported by those devices as well. But yeah, it's a neat controller. If you don't know, it's basically what they've done, which is actually pretty brilliant, is rather than trying to make an accessible controller, they've made a base of an accessible controller it's got like some big buttons on it, and sort of pads and things. But the big aspect of it is that it's got a whole ton of what are just
accessibility controller
inputs.
inputs.
I think they're just 3.5 millimeter jacks,
Yeah.
like phone jacks or headphone jacks,
TRS jacks,
which are the standard for switches and all sorts of existing accessibility aids
Yeah.
that people have made that are already set up for using in computers and thing for people with disabilities. So it's a brilliant setup, and it's something that hopefully will get even more better if it can be brought into compatibility with the other consoles.
That's
and
like
stuff.
like things like the head switches, where you can move your head from side to side and you can interact with different switches on the side of your head, or the suck and blow straw switch and stuff like that.
It's what's particularly adorable is he set up this game set up this system, and she's playing it with these big buttons and stuff, and it's like her brother wants to play. She's like, no.
There's
This is mine.
on the opposite end of the spectrum of that,
You get the Player 2 controller.
somebody modded the Ring Fit
Oh yeah.
setup and system so they could play Breath of the Wild using that. We're basically using same movements and stuff where you would shake it and move the ring and whatever, and then also, but they're like, in order to move around, you have to run. You
I
have to
like
run
that.
in
It's like
place.
the opposite of
sounds-
accessibility.
That
Yeah.
sounds kind of awful.
Yeah.
Have people played Breath of the Wild on a Guitar Hero guitar yet?
I don't know if I don't even know if there's a Guitar Hero guitar that can interface with the Switch. There must be, because they were USB at one point. So, meh. And with that, checkpoints.
I just assume that any game has been made to work with a Guitar Hero guitar at some point
Well, it should be, yeah.
for people on the internet.
Kind of the standard.
That was a go-to for a long time. It was like, now do it with the Guitar Hero controller.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all we got, actually. So, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Coming up next, we got LRMTG.
Oh yeah,
It's going to
Theros.
be at 2 o'clock.
Theros. It's
And-
so fun.
Doing the Theros drafts.
Yeah. Yes, there are traditional draft. They may still do sealed because ranked draft isn't out yet, and I don't know. It'll be up to James and Adam if they want to buy into a traditional draft. Only because they can take a while. Some of the games can go kind of long.
Oh, yeah.
And then tonight is Tinker Tailor Soldier Fry.
Tinker Tailor, where the continuing saga of the Sega Dreamcast.
Oh my god.
Hey, there's more. Great.
Yeah.
good.
Who the part? I don't know. Whatever we are.
He's not the Naomi that he's working on. He's working on the Dreamcast some more. So he has like a new thing. That is what it said, right? Because
The schedule says the Dreamcast.
Yeah, okay,
That
cool.
might be a miscommunication.
because in my
Dreamcast,
head
yeah.
I'm starting to conflate the two projects.
Theoretically,
that's
they're
the
this
problem.
because they're both theoretically they both will end up running Dreamcast games, right?
So yeah, it is Dreamcast on the schedule. I'm almost certain because I'm sure that's what I saw. So that should be fun.
So, whether the Dreamcast or the Naomi, something that plays Dreamcast games will be operated on tonight on Tinker Tailor Soldier Fry.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow morning, it's the continuation of my Play It Forward of Control.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, where we're picking up stuff and throwing it around. It's so much fun. I'm in favor of any game where you can pick up a fridge and then be like, haha, fridge, boosh, and throw it at somebody.
Fridged.
Or be like, hey, you should talk to your buddy over here. Let me help you out. Whoosh. Yeah, it's fun. And then tomorrow evening, speaking of Theros drafting, it's going to be paper Theros drafting.
Oh yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Because the pre-release was last week. So and the set is actually out now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to happen on Thursday. Or
Yeah.
Tonight. No, Friday night. Bleh. Friday night.
Friday night,
Ow.
which is when the Friday night paper fight happens.
And then Saturday, Adam is going to be playing more Persona.
Yep.
And then it's going to be
Oh, it's live.
live.
It's live this week.
The first live 2020.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So tune in for that.
So all sorts of cool stuff is happening.
Great
LoadingReadyRun.com/live is the place to go
Janvier.
Janvier.
to find out to look at all the schedules stuff. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we want to thank all you awesome people for helping us out in all the many ways that you do. Yeah. But in particular, people who subscribe during the stream, starting with TXC2 for 59 months. Woof.
Lauren72 for 31 months. Welcome back.
And a tiny space marine returns for 61 months.
so small.
For the Emperor. Soprano Cat for 36 months. That 3 years.
Thagnock for 10 months. Welcome back.
And welcome back, Lunatic93, who's been here 42 months.
Shadow Demons 1, 2, 3 for 10 months. That's like, Shadow Demons, come on. 1, 2, 3.
Philemon for 34 months. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Bodacious Nia, who's been here for 11 months.
Ratek Stormcrow for 27 months.
Hoktari for 43 months. Welcome back.
I feel like I need an actor's roar to give me time to be like, Lord Crusher for 57 months. Need to remember my lines.
The Exploded Gamer for 22 months. That's a weird poster. You just all the different parts of a person just completely exploded.
Mega Flycraft. Now, is it the craft of mega flies, or is it's Flycraft, but it's real big? 31 months. Welcome back.
Steel Wolf 171 for 51 months. Welcome back to you too.
Yeah.
And thanks for the 100
Hey.
bits, Lord Crusher.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, I sent you an email about a thing. So, check that, please. All right. Gotta go get ready for all kinds of stuff. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks
Bye,
everybody
everybody.
for watching.
Bye.
The LRRMTG will be on in just about an hour. So,
Sweet.
thanks everybody. Talk to you later.